On today's show, we continue to rank the top 25 players in the last 25 years for the Toronto Maple Leafs as we hit the top 10. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. What's happening, Dave? How's your weekend, pal?
Not too bad. You know, the heat and all that stuff.
It was hot. It was a hot one. It was a hot one. It was nice. Mine was nice. My girlfriend came out to Toronto. We spent the weekend here, brought the dog up. We were at Toronto Island the one day, which is very nice. Went to the weekend concert last night. 10 out of 10 would recommend, buddy. I know he's here for the next 4 days or 3 more days, I suppose. But yeah, I went to the show opener last night. It was incredible. Down at the Dome. It puts on a hell of a show, let me tell you. And just a reminder, guess how I got my tickets, Dave?
Gametime.
I used Gametime. I got them. We got them maybe 3 hours before the show started, and we got tickets for, I think we had pretty good tickets. It was like $100 off face value for where we got the tickets. It was great, and we used the promo code Locked On NHL and got $20 off. So, if anyone plans on going to the show this weekend, you could use Locked On NHL Gametime code for $20 off your first purchase. But yeah, it was a great show. It was a good show. And you know, it's the dog days of summer, so there's not a whole lot going on in terms of the hockey world. You know, at least we do got the Blue Jays, who are still absolutely killing it right now, which is good to see. Maybe we'll see the Maple Leafs give us some sort of run like this at some point next season, perhaps. But we're going to continue with our top 25 Maple Leafs of the last 25 years ranking that we've been doing over the course of the last few shows. We've hit the top 10 now, Dave. So we've already done players 25 through 11, and we are now hitting players 10 through 6 today on each of our respective lists. So let's go through who we had, ranking from 11 to 25, and then we can get into our list. So why don't you go ahead, give us your ranking from 25 down to 11.
Yeah, so we got Joffrey Lupul, Tyler Bozak, Jake McCabe, Zach Hyman, Jake Gardner, Dmitry Yushkevich, Darcy Tucker, Steve Thomas, James Van Riemsdyk, Frederik Andersen, Nazem Kadri, Ed Belfour, Gary Roberts, Brian McCabe, and then the last one was Phil Kessel.
So mine was Nikolai Kulemin, TJ Brody, Nick Antropov, Tyler Bozak, Jake McCabe, Zach Hyman came in at 20, JVR, Fred Anderson, Ty Domi, Darcy Tucker, Dion Phaneuf, the former captain, at 15, Ed Belfour at 14, Nazem Kadri, Brian McCabe, and I also had Gary Roberts coming in at number 11. So those are our respective lists at this point. You can let us know down below, who do we have ranked too high, too low. But we are going to go through players 10 through 6 now through the rest of this podcast. So Dave, you could take the floor as per usual. Give us your number 10 player.
You know, I've been fooling you this entire time, Mike. Been fooling you this entire time.
What does that even mean, brother? What does that even mean?
First episode, first time we did this, you were so upset.
No, you're
upset
that
joking. I left this guy off the list. You actually thought I was going to leave Dion Phaneuf off my top 25.
Yeah, I did. What do you mean?
I did.
I don't believe you. You have Dion at 10?
I have Dion at number 10.
I don't even believe this. I think you altered your list.
I had him and Phil Kessel the whole time between him and which one to put in the top 10. I put Dion Phaneuf there. The reason, and here's the reason, not because I thought he was the fantastic player on the ice, But that trade, I remember the day that trade was made.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what, 2009, I want to say.
No, I think it was after that. I think it was
That's
10 or 11, wasn't it?
I'm trying to remember the exact date. I remember where I was. I was at my nonna's house, and we randomly put the TV on, and I'm like, the Leafs got DiStefano.
Yeah.
Like, are
January 31st, 2010.
Okay, there we go. 2010. I was at my nonna's house, and I'm just like, who the heck did we trade to get DiStefano?
Yeah, like nobody.
They see who they gave up. But yeah, Matt Stajan, Nicholas Hagman, Jamal Mayers, and Ian White. And I remember even the players that the Leafs got, like Keith Ollie was a half decent pick at the time, and sold
Freddie Sjustrom, decent bottom six player.
Right. And I'm like, what a trade. And to me, that was kind of the shift for this Leafs team, where they were finally going to try to get away from this mediocre era that they had. I thought like the DiStefano trade was going to be the start of that. And like I thought, like when he first came here, he brought some jam, he brought some juice. The hits he would deliver, it wasn't Calder Trophy DiStefano that we got to see in Calgary, but he was bringing something, just a different aura. And then I don't know, it shifted. For some reason, it shifted. It like obviously after the playoff run with the whole salute gate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like that trade was, I don't think anyone will ever forget that trade.
It was big. Like he was a name. Like that was a big name that they had brought in, because 3 years prior he was like he scored 17 in Calgary. Like he was, Norris contender. He looked like he was going to be, an up and coming stud, like 60-point two-way defenseman, could rock dudes with thundering hits, and also control power play and put up 15 to 20 goals maybe. I mean, as a 20-year-old, he scored 17. So you're thinking, man, this guy could be a 20-goal scorer every year. It's not really how it turned out for DiStefano. And although I agree that he still was a good captain for the team, the team was no good, unfortunately. So I think he gets a lot of hate for that, for kind of being the leader of the club during that dark era. And of course, it was 4-1. He was the captain during that game, and on the ice for a couple goals against during that game. So yeah, there's a large segment of this fan base that certainly, does not like DiStefano, and our comment section was flaming him for calling him a pylon, and like that was his nickname. Sadly, in this city was pylon. Like it's not a fun nickname. Like anytime a defenseman is referred to as pylon or turnstile, that's like the worst possible thing that you could be. The worst possible nickname that you could get. So, but look, I know there's a lot of really good things off the ice that he did as the captain of the team as well. But I think he was just miscast, like realistically. Like, I think Dion's a guy who probably would have excelled more so on this team now, currently, than he would have then. Because you bring Dion, into the mix now, and you're probably looking at a player that is more likely to play, for the team in their, on the second pair, right? As opposed to playing 25 minutes a night on the top pair, playing against top players, right? It's miscast. It's ultimately what he was. He was more of a 3-4 than he was a 1-2. And, when he had to play 25 minutes a night, it was difficult for Dion. But I'm glad that you came to your senses. I still am calling fake news, and I think you didn't have him here all along, but you forgot, and then you had to just chuck him in there. No, you can't tell me based on what you said the other day. Like I didn't even ask you. You physically told me I don't have Dion on my list. Why would you tell me that? And then meanwhile you got him
because the reaction I got from you. I wanted the reaction. I wanted to hear you fight for Dion.
Dave, I don't have Matthews in my top 10.
But see, now that's just outrageous, because like
not on my list. Not on my list. It's not on my list. Matthews is not on my list.
No, I bought my brother a Phaneuf jersey, or I helped my brother get a Phaneuf jersey, I should say. I got him a good deal on one. Like, I like Dion. I was close to getting one myself, and I'm like, well, we can't both have the same jersey. I think I got the
Sure you
Kessel
could.
jersey.
Sure you could. Oh, so you got number 11. He got number 10 on your list. Oh, so you like your brother better. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and you can finish up your list there. Went a little long on Dion, but that's okay. He deserves it. He deserves it for all the hate he got while he was here. We can at least show him some love now that he's gone. Longtime captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Dion Phaneuf comes in at number 10 to kick off your list. We'll get through 9 through 6 next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast.
Today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Well, and what I found surprising is just how easy it was to track everything I was spending. You know, if I want to see how much I was spending on takeout or on certain subscriptions to see if there was a way to cut some of my expenses, that's one thing that Mark can really help with. And if you're managing money with a partner, it's easier than ever. It takes away the stress of dealing with finances. It helps you look at personal and joint financials all on one app. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKDOWNNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNNHL for half off your first year.
Hello and welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are 3 days a week through the summer now, down to 3 days a week until training camp, but still bringing you Leafs content all throughout the offseason. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, and you can also find us up on YouTube as well. Over the course of the last week or so, we've been doing our top 25 Maple Leafs of the last 25 years, a little quarter century team, if you will. And Dave and I have been unveiling our list separately. Neither of us know who is on each other's list. We're kind of surprising each other with our rankings and seeing, who's ranked too high, who's ranked too low, and we're having some fun with it. So far, we've both given our players 25 through 11. Dave just did number 10, so he unveiled his 10th best Maple Leaf, and now he's got to go 9 through 6. So give us number 9, Dave.
Number 9 is somebody who finally is getting the recognition he deserves and is going to be named a Hall of Famer this year. It is Mr. Alexander McGillney.
Nice.
Again, such an underrated player when he was with the Leafs. You look at who would play, behind Sundin as kind of like the top guys on the Leafs in that, early 2000s, and McGillney was one of them. Won the Lady Byng in 2003. One of the few guys that you could say scored over a point per game with the Leafs is how I want to put that. 79 points in 73 games in the year that he won the Lady Byng. His playoff numbers were pretty good too. 24 points in 39 career playoff games, 15 goals. That run to the run to the conference final, 11 points in 20 games. But here's the thing. Alex McGillney was brought in in his early 30s. His best years were with the Devils, obviously also with the Sabres too. But still a solid player for the Leafs.
Well, he had gone to back-to-back Cup finals prior to coming to Toronto with the Devils, right? Won that Cup in 99, 2000, and then went back to the finals with the Devils in 2000, 2001. I believe they lost to Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. He had 16 points in that run. But 8 goals in that first initial run of the conference final you mentioned. His 8 goals was actually the most he ever had in the playoffs with the Maple Leafs. And again, that was without Sundin that year. He missed a majority of that entire playoff. And everyone had to step up around him. And McGillney was one that really stepped up. I remember, like Dave, you and I are at the age where like that run to the conference finals kind of our. I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but I know we've talked about this before. Like our initial kind of welcome to the Maple Leafs. Like this is like a vivid memory, a core early memory of me and my Leafs fandom and my hockey watching career was that run to the cup. Like I remember my uncle coming over and us watching the games together, and me staying up trying to watch the games as a youngin, waking up to go watch Sports Center to see what happened in overtime because I fell asleep or I went to bed. Like I just really, really remember that run quite vividly. So there's a lot of players nostalgically on this list that came up clutch, and McGillney was certainly one of those players during that time, and rightfully so, getting his spot in the Hockey Hall of Fame later this year. Way too long to get him into the Hall. But he was a beast when he was here for not a long time, a short time, only 3 years. But he definitely came through for the Leafs in that short time span. All right, who comes in next at number 8 for you?
Number 8, we're going to go on the blue line here. Again, another great defenseman for this team, Thomas Kaberle. He was such a great player to watch. I always remember going to Leaf games though, and the one thing every single Leafs fan had to do when Thomas Kaberle had the puck at the blue line was to yell "shoot." The guy had a desire to not shoot the puck, although he did have 11 goals.
Who's that remind you of?
Yeah. Copycat, a lot of copy, but it's funny because like you yell, like a lot of people yell at him to shoot, yet 3 times in his career with the Leafs he had over 10 goals. Like he did score, but like if you're asking me, who among the defensemen of the last 25 years I want to make sure I have on this team, Thomas Kaberle would definitely be one of them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I also felt that he never got enough appreciation for the type of defenseman that he was. Like the guy played so many minutes. He almost had 70 points, right, in 1 year. 67 was his career high with the Leafs, and that was the year after the lockout. It's just too bad those Leafs teams after the lockout were just so brutal because he was so good.
I know. And then they traded him and got Joe Colburn, a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And it didn't amount to anything.
I'll say 2 things about that. At least he got a cup. Like, he deserved to win a Stanley Cup. But it also hurt me because eventually he was signed with the Canadiens to end his career. Like,
I forgot about that.
Really, really, like, that's what brought him down a little bit. No, I'm joking. That's not why I have him lower on the list. He was a really good defenseman for this team. It was just sad that his best years came like later. But he made this team as a 20-year-old. How many like if you look at the Leafs back in the day, not a lot of young players made the team early, and he did as a 20-year-old. And he was I think he was like a really late pick too. Like he might have been one of the best Leafs draft picks of all time.
He was an eighth,
where he was and what he provided.
He was an 8th round pick.
They don't have 8 rounds anymore, people.
They don't even have 8. Exactly. They don't even have 8 rounds anymore, like they used to. So, if this was, modern times, Thomas Kaberle would not have been drafted, would have been an undrafted player, and he would have been open to go anywhere. But they took a shot on kind of this young Czech left shooting defenseman who had some good skating and could kind of handle the puck a little bit, and lo and behold, turned out to be a pretty good pick. Yeah, Kaberle, he shows up on my list here as well. I won't tell you where, but he does show up on mine. All right, number 7 for you.
Let's go back-to-back defensemen. This is where I have Morgan Rielly.
Yeah.
I know people are not happy with Morgan Rielly right now, but we're talking about his total contributions with this team. Like, he's approaching 1,000 games played with just the Leafs. There are many Leaf players that have played 1,000 games with just the Leafs, right? That's gonna be like if I will say when he does it, because I'm assuming he is going to do it. Like,
Yeah,
that's an
he's
accomplishment.
127.
Yeah,
Yeah, 127 games away from that.
that's like literally two seasons.
Yeah.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
Again, 5th overall pick. I think he's actually, like, when you look at that draft, probably the best pick in that top 5. Like,
Yeah.
Brian Burke made that famous comment saying, if we had the 1st overall pick, we would have taken Morgan Rally. I would have agreed with Burke.
And we all clowned on him, though. We all clowned
Yeah.
on him for that take. But if you look back at the draft, that might be a correct take.
Yeah,
Like,
like
he still would have been right.
I think the only thing is he got stuck early in his career being on some bad Leafs teams.
Yeah.
And just not for how many years do we say this guy, they got to find a better partner for Morgan Riley. Like, he was playing with, like, what, Ron Hainsey at times. Like, just guys that just weren't up to snuff to play in the top pairing. And I think that eventually he did when he did get to the the guy eventually did get some decent players to play with. But 72 points in 1 year, 68. He still puts up points. It's just the last year there was just something not right. Something was not right with Morgan Riley. But other than that, like, throughout his career, like, I saw what made him a potential, great defenseman. Good skating, good offensive instincts. I'll never forget that goal he scored against the Oilers 1 year where he went, coast to coast, absolutely deked out. I can't remember who was in that, but he absolutely did, like, just beautiful goal. And I'm like, that's the Morgan Riley we need to see more often.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
hopefully the Leafs can get him back to that, because I think there is something there still with him. But
maybe. I mean, you liked what you saw when Brendan Carlo came over, right? So hopefully they can kind of pick up where they left off, and grow and build off that chemistry.
Yeah.
Because it'd be nice to see that. It would be nice to see Morgan Riley kind of get back when he's jumping up into the play and he's activating like that's when he's at his best. When he's doing that type of stuff, leading rushes and taking those chances, that's when Morgan Riley's at his best. And when he's got a revolving cast of defensive partners, he sometimes felt the need to kind of hang back. But with Brandon Carlo, much like you saw when he was with like a prime TJ Brody, he felt comfortable jumping and activating like he did when he was with Luke Shen. Probably is the best he's ever looked was when he was with Luke Shen in that Tampa series specifically. Hopefully they can kind of channel that again. It's getting a little older, but there's still some good years left in Morgan Riley. There has to be. He's got like five more years left on that contract.
They need it. That's what I'm saying. Like, they have to find a way, because I know people are saying that he's not the number one or a lot of those things. They just need to get him back to playing the Morgan Riley that they need him to be. And that's just gonna be such a big boost if they can do that.
All right, Dave. Who rounds out your list for today? Who came in at number 6?
It's the top goalie on my list, Cujo. Curtis Joseph. Maybe a little bit of a bias here because he was always my favorite Leaf. I always thought I would be a goaltender. If I ever played road hockey, I was the net, and I'd be the Cujo. I always like just the aura around him. The guy was awesome. When he came to the Leafs, it was just such a big deal for him to come to Toronto. I know that his first couple of years were before the 2000s, but like that was my childhood. Just associate the best years of the Leafs were with Cujo and Nat. We talk about that run to the 01-02
Eastern Conference Final.
Let's not forget that it wasn't that year, but I think it was the year. But one of those years he was like hurt for a long time too, and he had to come back.
It was that year because he only played 51 games that season. Whereas
which doesn't sound like a lot. Which sounds like a lot, but like back then he was playing 68, 70 games.
Yeah. The 5 years prior to that season. He had 72 with Edmonton, 71 with Edmonton, 67 when he came to the Leafs in his first year, 63, 68, and then you're looking at 51. So it's like something's different there. So I think there was an injury there. He missed some time, and then came back and played played all 17 games in the playoffs, and was an absolute animal for the Leafs. Like I remember they went through the Islanders, then they went through Ottawa, and then eventually lost to the Carolina Hurricanes that year. But I mean, he was phenomenal. He had 223 goals against that season. He was a beast, absolute beast. Cujo was like my first favorite player. Like I'm with you. Yeah. He was my first favorite player. I loved Cujo. Cujo and Tucker were like my two guys on that team. I just loved the grittiness of Tux, obviously, and I don't know what it was about goalies, but I've always had a soft spot for goalies. It's like him and Luongo are like two of my favorite players of all time. And it's just, I don't know what it is about goalies. I think maybe it's just the bigger natured fellas. Maybe we always kind of growing up, we saw Goldberg, the goalie, when we were watching the Mighty Ducks. We're like, hey, we're supposed to be goaltenders. Maybe that's why we have an affinity for the goaltending position. But yeah, Cujo was the man. And
one of the first NHL jersey was Cujo.
Well, the greatest goalie mask. Like you talk about Leafs goalie masks.
Iconic.
I mean, it doesn't get better than Cujo with the Cujo teeth there. Yeah, he was an animal. Dude, it's so funny, man. Like our lists are they're not identical in number, but identical in name pretty well. In name almost. 4 of the 5 players you just mentioned are also on my list. So I'll get to my list next. It's ranked a little different, but I'll get to my list next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you. As always, we're ranking the top 25 Maple Leafs of the last 25 years. We've already done players 25 through 11. Today we're doing players 10 through 6. Dave just gave you his list, and I've got a lot of the same names, which means we probably have the exact same top 5 because no one in my top 5 has come out of your mouth yet. So I'd imagine we both have the same top 5. So. We'll see how it ends up being divvied out. But coming in for me at number 10, I also had Thomas Caberlet come in at number 10. And, we spoke at length about all these players during, when you did it, I kind of, gave some of my spiel. But, Caberlet, as we mentioned, was just he was just the top defenseman for the Maple Leafs during a very successful time for Toronto. You look at in terms of, where he stands among all Maple Leafs defensemen. He's 3rd all time in games played amongst defensemen, 2nd to only Boreas Salming in points all time amongst defensemen. And he played 23 minutes, 50 seconds averaged a night, almost 24 minutes a night. Like, true horse defenseman. So he comes in for me at number 10, Thomas Caberlet. At number 9, I had Alex McGillney also coming in at number 9. Again, just a guy who came in, was in his early 30s, was coming off of, a couple of runs to the Cup final. He was, the man. He was a stud when he was in Jersey, when he was in, obviously, early years at Buffalo and Vancouver. And then he comes to Toronto late in his career, signs a nice ticket here for a couple of seasons, makes that run to the conference final, which he was a big time part of, but unfortunately couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get it done. So McGillney came in at number 9 for me. I had Riley at number 8, Dave. I had him at number 8, so I had him ahead of Thomas Caberlet here. And for me, like Morgan Riley, it's interesting because at times, I feel like he could be a little higher on this list because there's been times where it's like, man, this guy's been just such a rock solid player for this team. He's the longest tenured Maple Leaf right now. He's the one who's been through thick and thin, right? He was there during the lean years prior to Matthews and Marner and Nylander, guys who I'm sure will show up on this list when we unveil our top 5 on the next show. But he's been through the success. He's been through the ups and downs. And I don't know about you, but when Tavares was named captain of this team, I remember getting on this podcast. That was the year that this podcast started. You weren't with us yet. But I remember coming out, and it was before they had announced anyone, and I threw my hat in the ring for Morgan Riley to be the captain. That's who I thought should be the captain. I wasn't sure if he would get it, but I thought he deserved it. And Riley has always been a big heart and soul guy too, not afraid to drop the mitts if need be, or stick up for his teammates if need be. But a reason why I had Riley over Cabriolet, at first I did have Cabriolet over Morgan Riley. And then I went and I took a look at Riley's, where he stands among all Maple Leaf defensemen in like certain categories. Surprisingly, I didn't think this would be the case, but surprisingly, Morgan Riley is fourth among all Maple Leafs defensemen in hits with 789 hits, but is the number 1 shot blocker in Leafs history, 1,203. Now that's since recording shot blocks, because obviously there's some footage out there. Boyer Solomon was quite the shot blocker. I'm not sure if they tracked the hits. They're bad. Well, they didn't track shot blocks back then. So since the shot blocking era has started and that they've started doing that, which is over the course of the last 25 years, I might add, Morgan Riley's number 1 in Leafs history, 1,203. So 1,200 hits or blocks in Morgan Riley's career. So, putting his body on the line, right? Like, played in all situations. He's been a horse for this team. Plays so much. Plays 22 minutes a night, which in 2025, that's way more than anyone typically plays. So Mo for me comes in here at number, or I'm at number 8 for Morgan Riley.
Yeah, I just think again, people have to look at the whole body of work of his career. And, another one of those picks that kind of changed the tide a bit for the Leafs, right? Getting such a dynamic blue liner. And in my opinion, that's like kind of where he lands a bit higher than Caberlet, because like his skating ability and like really good, like people have to remember he could score in the playoffs. Morgan Riley's had some big games in the playoffs for this Leafs team, and
Huge.
that can't be overlooked.
Huge. Like that series against Tampa, they don't make it through. They don't win their first round in 20 years if Morgan Riley didn't put on a cape. Like, he was probably the least best player in that series. Like, I'm like straight up. I think Morgan Riley was the most impactful player in that series. So for me, he is the number 1 defenseman on my list. I don't have another one coming in. So to me, he's the top defenseman the Maple Leafs have had over the last 25 years, which is crazy because a lot of people are looking to trade him and kick him out the door right now. But when you look at the body of work and what he's done over the course of the last, what's he been here now? Over 10 years, 10, 11. He was drafted in 2013. So 12-ish years. Mo's been a great Maple Leaf. A great Maple Leaf. So he comes in at number 8 for me. Phil Kessel comes in at number 7. Where'd you have Kessel again? You had him at 11?
11.
You had him at 11. So Phil Kessel, to me, I think deserves a little bit more credit because, again, he played through the crap years, right? Played through the crap era. Look who he had to play with. Imagine if he had the opportunity to play with a John Tavares or an Austin Matthews. Like, Phil Kessel probably would have been a perennial 40 to 50 goal guy if he actually had, guys to play with. But he didn't. He was no shot to Bozak, or no shot to like Joffrey Lupul and MacArthur and JVR. Good players, not great players. And he kind of was
like Tim Connolly. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, exactly. But had a good solid like 6 years with the Maple Leafs. The trade, you could look at the trade and obviously think back and when you look at actually how it panned out, Sagan and Dougie Hamilton for Phil Kessel. A lot of people still look back at that as one of the worst trades in Leafs history. But I mean, you got a perennial like 30 goal guy out of it. Like that's what you wanted, right? Like a team that for years coming out of the lockout just didn't really have anyone. They didn't have a player like him. And then they bring him in and he went off. First season, 30 goals, 32 the next year, 37 the year after that. And then in the lockout shortened year, put up 20 goals in 48 games, 52 points, over a point per game. And then he put up 37 the year after that in the next full year with the Leafs. So, he was nearly point per game in like that 3-year stretch there in his middle tenure with the Maple Leafs. And although it didn't culminate into a whole lot of success for the team, he did what he could do, right? But when you got, Ben Scrivens in net and who's the Swedish monster, the Gustafsson.
Oh yeah.
Gustafsson. Yeah. Like you think of the goaltenders, like Jonathan Bernier was in net at that time.
Reimer after the like unbelievable run he had initially, but like
right. So like there wasn't much help there. We've talked about how weak the blue line is. Like there's not a lot of players here high up on the list from this era, and that's for a reason, right? But he himself was great, and he's left us with so many good sound bites. Like this guy's such an idiot, and good one, Randy. And it's like Phil is always known as a character in the locker room and in the dressing room. And he went on to win a couple cups in Pittsburgh. Obviously, the trade. Whether or not it worked out best for Toronto, I guess remains to be seen. I think it did. I mean, realistically, like Pittsburgh went on to win a cup, but the first round pick they got for Kessel, they got Kapanen and a first, I think, was like the main crux of the deal, and then they flipped that first to Anaheim for Fred Anderson. So they end up getting a starting goalie for 5 years with Freddie, who brought them to the playoffs every year. So the trade worked out, I think, for both parties. He went on to win 2 cups. Think he was happy with that one. But yeah, Phil Kessel to me comes in pretty high at number 7. To finish off my list, we got the same guy. Cujo comes in at number 6, the number 1 goaltender on my list at number 6. Cujo was the man. He was like when he left Toronto, I was so upset. I
cried.
I was a fan. Well, I was an early fan. Like that was kind of the year that I became a Leafs fan, was during that run, like I've mentioned, like 01-02. And Cujo was my favorite player, as I mentioned, earlier. For like 10 minutes, when I found out that he was going to Detroit, I switched up, Dave. I switched up. For about 10 minutes, I switched up. And I was like, okay, I'm following him. I'm a Detroit fan now. They're the defending champs. They absolutely crushed. Their team's amazing, and now they've got Cujo. I am a fan of the Detroit Red Wings. That lasted all of 10 minutes, and then I was like, we'll go back to Matt Sundin, the Leafs, and all them. But that's kind of where that's how that happened. I was so distraught when Cujo left, but as we talked about before, like Cujo, one of the best goaltenders the Maple Leafs have ever had. Like he definitely is. He's someone who is so deserving of the Hall of Fame. It's not even funny. Like he's right up there among wins among goaltenders in history, right? Like his shutouts, save percent. Like, God, how many shutouts did he end up having? 51 shutouts. Oh, I thought I saw a different shutout number there, but the guy was unbelievable. Playoffs, he was a stud in that cup run to the Eastern Conference Final. 915 save percentage in the postseason there that year. Cujo was an absolute stud for this team. I was so heartbroken when he left. So heartbroken. And then he came back for like a cup of coffee.
That game against Washington Capitals, that one game where he just, teared. I didn't cry. I like just tear out. I'm like, just brought it back. That one game where he just stopped everything. He stopped everything.
Yeah. I didn't realize he played so many games when he came back.
He did.
Know how many games he played when he came back that final year?
Like 40 something.
No, not that many.
No, I think
21
it was
games.
21 games in that final.
But for me, I remember it being like, oh, he came back and played like 7 or 8 games and like just got just a cup of coffee to end off his career. Now he kind of ended up taking over like like the net a little bit and became kind of the guy for Toronto for a little bit that season. That was a tough year. That was like Toskala was like the guy. Toskala, Gerber, Justin Pogge. There's another list that we could do throughout the summer. Prospects that never were. Yeah. The top prospects that were supposed to be the next big thing that never panned out. Top overhyped prospects might have to be that list. Well, maybe we'll do that once we're finished up with this one. But Justin Pogge is high up on that list. Anyone else who might be on that list? Yuri Talusti could maybe potentially be on that list. Who was on that team back then? Anyways, we're not going to go through that rabbit hole, but
we'll go through that list one day.
We'll go through that list one day, but Cujo rounds out my list for today at 6. So I had Caberlet at 10, McGillney at 9, Riley at 8, Kessel at 7, Cujo at 6. And Dave, we will reconvene on Wednesday and go through our top 5 Maple Leafs of the last 25 years. So that'll be for us on Wednesday's show. Anything else you want to say today before we sign out?
No, just got to keep an eye out for potential arbitration numbers that are coming out. So let's see if we get a Nick Robertson arbitration number.
Yes,
at some point.
Yes. So hopefully we got numbers for both sides, and we'll know hopefully by Wednesday. Because I did see Dylan Sandberg's number came out. So and it's very different. There's a $4 million difference in
4.5.
4.5. No, I think it's 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Almost 4.
Yeah, between the Jets and the player. So I could imagine there being a similar discrepancy with Robertson and the Leafs. But we'll let you know when those numbers come out. Hopefully it is by Wednesday, so we can get to that and get to the final 5 players, the top 5 Leafs the last 25 years. So we'll do that on Wednesday's show. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast to join us and find us on all podcast platforms to receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys Wednesday. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.